Welcome to part 4 of the Notebook series. In this episode, we're diving into the notebook editing part of the Notes app. Let's get started. Since we finished the third part of the plan, we can cross that off, which means this is the last episode of the series. This episode, we're going to handle the notebook page. This includes fetching the notebook content, storing updates in real time, integrating the notebook component into the app. Let's start by setting up our project structure for the notebook feature. In VS Code, create a new folder in the source directory called Notebook. Next, we'll create two files inside the Notebook folder, notebook.tsx and notebook.css. This component will display and edit the content of individual notebooks, fetching and saving data to Firebase. We'll begin by importing necessary modules and setting up our state. Here, we import React hooks like useState and useEffect, and Firestore methods setDoc, doc, and getDoc. We also bring our Firestore configuration and CSS for styling. Next, we'll fetch the notebook data using Firestore's getDoc method inside a useEffect hook. This useEffect runs when the component first renders and whenever the ID variable changes. It fetches the notebook data from Firestore and updates the component state. The second argument to a useEffect is a dependencies array. This effect only reruns if the variable in this array changes. Here, ID is the only dependency, meaning the effect only runs when the ID changes. This function is declared inside useEffect to perform the data fetching. It's marked async because it uses the await keyword to wait for Firestore responses. The effect sets isLoading to true at the start to indicate data fetching. After the data is fetched and the state is updated, isLoading is set to false. The getDoc function retrieves a notebook document from Firestore. If the document exists, its data is extracted and used to set the notebook and input states. If the notebook doesn't exist, an error is logged, and the loading is stopped. Let's add functionality to update the notebook content in Firestore whenever the user changes the text. This function updates the notebook content in Firestore. It's called whenever the user stops typing for a short period, helping to save changes without constant updates. This string contains the updated text that the user entered into the notebook, and this line creates a reference to the specific notebook document in Firestore using the ID. This line updates the document in Firestore with the new content. This table helps illustrate the different purposes and use cases for each function. Since we want to overwrite the existing notebook content, we're going to use setDoc. The setDoc function is used here with the merge true option, which means only the field specified in the update, in this case content, will be modified. Other fields in the document will remain unchanged. This is crucial for preserving other data like the notebook's title, creation date, and colors. The finally block ensures the setIsLoading is called regardless of whether the update succeeded or failed. This stops the animation, indicating that the save process is complete. This effect monitors changes to input and notebook content. The if statement checks if the input value is the same as the notebook current content. If they are the same, no update is needed, and the function returns early. If an update is needed, the isLoading is set to true to show the loading animation. The setTimeout function delays the call to update notebook in Firestore by 1 second. To avoid saving on every keystroke, we use a debounce technique, which delays the save operation by a second. The function returned by useEffect is a cleanup function. It clears the timeout if the component unmounts. This preserves memory leaks and ensures that only the most recent update is processed. Finally, let's take a look at the JSX rendering the notebook data. This div contains the title of the notebook and a loading animation. It uses the conditional rendering to either show the title of the notebook or a saving message, depending on the isLoading state. This line displays the title of notebook. If isLoading is false, it means the notebook data has been loaded. The notebook title part uses optional chaining to safely access the title. If notebook is undefined or null, it falls back to showing notes. When isLoading is true, indicating that the app is currently saving data, a loading animation is displayed. This is a user-friendly way to show that the application is processing something in the background. The text area element is where users can write and edit the content of their notes. Where value equals input is where we bind the text area value to the input state variable, ensuring that the displayed text matches the current state. onChange is an event handler that updates the input state whenever the user types into the text area. This ensures that any changes in the text area are reflected in the component state. To enhance the visual appeal and usability of our notebooks list, we'll need to add some CSS styling. Instead of walking through each line of CSS, you can find the complete styling rules in the GitHub repository linked below this video. This repository contains all the CSS code used in our project, so you can easily copy and customize it to suit your preference. Next, we need to import the notebook component to our app file to ensure it can be accessed via routing. We import the notebook component and add a new route, notebook/ID, to handle notebook pages. The ID parameter allows us to dynamically load different notebooks based on the URL. And that wraps up our series on building a Notes app with React, TypeScript, and Firebase. We covered everything from setting up Firebase, creating a login and sign-up page, to building a dynamic notebook system where you can store and edit your notes. If you have any requests on future tutorials or series, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.